So in this video, we're going to talk about overlapping arcs. We're still dealing with inscribed angles. So again, this paper is uploaded on Canvas under Unit 7, and it's going to say circles formulas. So we already went over inscribed angles for the first video. So now we're going to talk about overlapping arcs. So this is what happens if you have an overlapping arc. If you have two inscribed angles that intercept the same arc, then the angles are congruent. So let's look at this one. Measure of angle ABD. Angle ABD, this angle right here, is congruent to the angle ACD. So these two angles are congruent. Why? Because they share an intercepted arc. So let me show you that. So this angle is congruent to this angle, like they said, because they share the same intercepted arc. So remember, the intercepted arc is the endpoints. So right here, this is the intercepted arc that they both share. It's right across. So that means even for A and D, these angles will be congruent because they share an intercepted arc. So this angle A will be congruent to angle D because right across from it, they share this arc that's in common. So basically, if you see like a bow tie shape like this, they're going to be congruent. Okay, so let's go over examples on that. We're going to have two examples. So it says, let me see if I can zoom this in a little bit better. Okay, good. So determine the value of X. So we see this bow-shaped tie, right? Looks like a bow tie. We need to figure out what X is. So let's find where X is. I see it over here. So this is telling you this angle is 9x plus 18. This angle is 5x. This angle is 5x plus 15. And this is 3x plus 21. So these are overlapping. Because remember, these two inscribed angles share the common intercepted arc. And these two inscribed angles share right across this arc. So that means it's congruent. So it's up to you to decide which two you want to choose. Which one you want to choose. You could choose these two angles or these two that are congruent. So it doesn't make a difference. So I'm going to choose these two. 9x plus 18 equals 15x. Because these two angles are congruent, like it said over here for overlapping arcs. Okay, so I'm going to solve for my variable x. So I see x on one side of the equation, and I see x on the other side. I don't want different forms of x. I want it all together, all the x's. So I'm going to move the small one over. This is a positive 9x, and that's a 15x. So I'm going to move the 9x over. Whenever I move something to the other side, I will do the opposite operation. So I'm going to subtract 9x. So I have 18 equals 6x. Now my last step is I want x to be by itself. So this is being multiplied by 6. So I will do the opposite operation, which will be dividing by 6. That divides out, so x is equal to 3. That's the answer. Now it says determine the measure of angle YNK. YNK. So YNK. So it's this one. YNK. We want to know what this angle is equal to. Now, we have these two angles, right? But there's an x in there. Now that we discovered what x is equal to, we can actually find out the value of angle Y and the angle K. Now, look at this right here. This is a triangle. So right here, this is a triangle. There's two triangles right here. So this triangle, we have angles. So whenever you're dealing with angles and triangles, think of the relationship. The sum of the angles have to add up to 180 degrees. So the angles of a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. So let's figure out what this angle is, this one, that way we could add them up, subtract it from 180 and figure out what the other angle is. So let's find angle Y, one at a time. So angle Y is 15x. So it's going to be 15 times the x value we just found, which is 3. We're going to substitute it in. So that means angle Y is 45 degrees. That's one angle. We need to find one more, that way that could help us figure out the last angle. So now let's look for angle K. Angle K says it is 3x plus 21. So it's 3 times my x value, we're substituting in, it's 3 plus 21. So we're going to go ahead and do order of operations, PEMDAS. You're going to do multiplication first. So you have 3 times 3 is 9 plus 21. That means angle K is 30 degrees. So now I know this is 30, and then this one was 45. So if a triangle has to add up to 180, all you're going to do is 180, subtract 45 and 30, and that's going to be your angle Y and K. So for angle Y and K, we're going to do 180 minus 45 minus 30, and that will give us our angle, which is going to be 105 degrees when you subtract all those. So don't, just because we're on a different unit, still recall your facts about the angles in a triangle. It always adds up to 180. So whenever you see that, you might have to do more than one thing to reach your answer. Okay, so last example, example 2. It says determine the measure of the arc. That symbol is arc AB. So we want to figure out, okay, so what is the arc AB equal to? So let's see. How can this help us? All we're given is these two angles. Well, not even, it's like in a variable form, but that's all we're given. We know that these two inscribed angles share this arc. So that means these two angles are congruent. So we're going to set them equal. So I'm going to have 7w minus 4 equals 5w plus 20. So we want to solve for at least w so we can figure out our angles. Okay, we want to figure out what this angle actually equals and that angle would actually equals. So let's take care of this first. So we have w here and w on the other side. I have it on both sides. I want it all on one side. So I'm always going to move over the smaller one first. So I have 5w is positive, so I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to subtract 5w from both sides. So you have 2w minus 4 equals 20. Now you have your two-step equation. Near w, I have the negative 4. Always take care of that first. Always take care of addition or subtraction. So opposite operation, we're going to add 4. So we have 2w equals 24. And the last step is we're going to divide by 2 because it's being multiplied, so the opposite will be dividing. So w is equal to 12. Now, this is an inscribed angle, remember, because the vertex is on the circumference. These two angles, like we said, are going to be congruent. So if I want to know what angle D is, angle C is going to be the exact same value because we said they're congruent. So it doesn't matter which value you plug in for angle D or C. So I'm going to put it for angle D. So angle D is 5w plus 20. So I'm going to plug in my w. So I have 60 plus 20. That gives me 80 degrees. So I know this angle is 80. Now, don't waste time substituting in for w, because remember, these are congruent. So if you substitute in 12 here, 7 times 12 minus 4 will give you 80 as well. So these are both 80 degrees. That's all we have so far. I need to know the arc. So let's think back on what else do you know about inscribed angles. Well, remember, from your arc to your angle, you had to take half of it. But now, from your angle to the arc, you're going to double it. Now, if you don't remember what I'm talking about, go back and watch the video on inscribed angles and arcs. That's going to help you. So, and if you want, look back here. That's what we're talking about. This angle, to find your inscribed angle, you take half of the arc to get the angle. So if you're going backwards, you're going to multiply by 2. So because it's an inscribed angle, I'm gonna, to find the measure of the arc AB, I'm gonna multiply 2 times my inscribed angle. And again, these are congruent, doesn't matter which one you take. So that means the measure of arc AB will equal to 160 degrees.